Hey, welcome to the Social 333 podcast. I'm your host, Chris Bentley. Today, my guest is Chris Barta. Chris, thanks for joining the show.
Thanks for having me.
Tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what you got going on.
Yeah, man. So born and raised in Dallas. I'm a car guy, car salesman by trade. Grew up here, went to Arizona State, got my MBA from SMU. Long story short, I ended up getting laid off from a job in '09. I started selling cars over here at Park Place, actually down the street from you guys, Bentley, Rolls, Maserati, McLaren. And then I did that for 8 years, got good at it, and then I opened my own car dealership. It was called Tactical Fleet in Addison, just a kind of a small little 30,000 square foot warehouse, just a couple guys in a warehouse. And we grew that from, no money to the largest pre-owned exotic car dealership in the country. We had a 100,000 square foot store here in Dallas, store in Beverly Hills, and a store out there in Charlotte, North Carolina. So that's kind of how I got going.
Yeah, it's really cool because we were kind of talking about it because I'm a big car guy, and I follow Tactical Fleet. I didn't even know all that stuff happened, and I remember when it was just kind of small, and I was like, "Oh, cool! They got Lamborghinis and some cool stuff." And I was like, "Oh yeah, maybe I can, stop by." Obviously, I went to the Ferrari dealership with a friend of mine, and how they are, like everything's locked up. You can't sit in anything. You can't look at anything. Like you breathe on it, somebody's gonna come to you and be like, "Hey, excuse me, like, do you have $300,000?" Right? It's just a little different. And I was like, "Oh, maybe these guys are really cool." And I'm in a couple of different Facebook groups, and I see that some people bought some stuff from Tactical Fleet. This is like way back in the day, and I'd be like, "Oh, cool," and now it's more like, I can't believe this car is so expensive.
Yeah. Well, that was all by design. So I was, Park Place bred, suit, tie, name tag. This is the script you say. This is how you treat people. And we just got rid of all of that. Like we wear Nikes and Rolexes and like T-shirts and jeans, and we sell like $1 million cars to people. And what was cool about us is if you wanted to drive something, you could drive something. If you wanted to come take pictures, you can take pictures. If you want to, what we basically said yes to anything, even the young kids, because a lot of them would bring their parents in, and they'd buy something. And we needed the tags on social media, so we left the doors unlocked, and anyone could come in and sit in the cars, and it was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about some of your competitors, like Chad Cunningham. Like I follow him online, and he shows like a lot of like the back stuff and how he buys cars. I know he changed different companies now, but I was always really interested in seeing like how that worked, because at one point I was like, well, like this real estate stuff is really cool. And you start getting like, kind of complacent and bored. And you're like, okay, well, maybe I'll go, and I like Lamborghinis. So like, maybe I'll go bid on some Lamborghinis and I'll get a couple and I'll drive them around. And then, I'll get some shots taken of me. I'm pretty popular, kind of not big headed, right? And just kind of like people know who I am in the area. And then they're gonna be like, oh, I saw Chris with a white Lamborghini. And that's really cool. And I'll be like, cool, you want to buy it for me? And then, and then make some money and then kind of flip it. But there's a little bit more to it than that, right?
Oh man, it's so hard, especially the exotic cars. Fords and Chevys, you can go pop one at the auction and flip it and make a couple grand, or you can find one on Facebook Marketplace and make a couple grand. Where are you finding like a nice SVJ with low miles, one owner? That's just the kind of, it's like a pocket listing for real estate, all the good stuff. And when we were getting going, we had no cash. So a lot of our stuff was consignment. So I would sit around all day and just call guys I'd sold cars to for 8 years and be like, hey, do you still have that Bentley? Yeah. You driving it? No. Can we sell it? Yeah, sure. And we put all these cars on our website. So if you went to my website, you'd be like, dang, this kid's got $10 million worth of cars, but I didn't own most of them. And then we called them unicorns. So I would find, I'd sold a new Rolls Royce to a guy. No one ever followed up with them. I'd call him and get the car. It'd be, a couple 1,000-mile, beautiful car, stuff you can't get that at the auction.
Right.
People aren't flipping those. So that was where we could make the biggest pops.
With that kind of business, we were kind of talking offline, like it moves pretty rapidly. Like we were talking about real estate, and right now the real estate market's very, very slow. But in terms of cars, like things move, people's tastes move pretty quickly. We were talking about G-Wagons and values of G-Wagons, right? Like it just, how do you keep up with that stuff?
It's tough, and it can be really expensive. So you kind of got to keep your finger on the pulse at all times. Because if you buy a car wrong and then the market shifts, like those G-Wagons we were talking about, they were selling for $300,000 during COVID, and then COVID kind of blew over, and then they were dropping to 250, then they were 200. So if you had one that you paid 250 and it's worth 200 and you're trying to sell it, it's going to be a problem. So it's just kind of like, you got to be in the trenches all day long, tracking the market, listen to what people say when they, walk in the door. What are they looking for? What's good? And then over the years, you kind of learn like, that's good merch. I always say that's fresh, great merch. That's good merch. And then that's bad merch. You don't want that. And you just kind of have to get burned to kind of figure it out, just like anything in life.
The other thing that I was going to ask you about offline, but I'll just ask you now, is that a lot of people would go during COVID, and I'm sure they still do it now, they'll go to like the dealership and they'll plunk down, I don't know, whatever it is, $100,000 or whatever to get a car built. And then the car will come, and then the dealership will call and be like, hey, like, we'll buy the car off you. It's higher MSRP or whatever they're charging because everybody likes it because it has a spoiler on it, or something ridiculous like a sunroof, right? And then is that really like a same? Because I know people were making a lot of money back then. I think it was during COVID too, that they would just order a car, put like $100,000 down, and know that they just turn around and flip it back to the car dealership.
That was a once in a lifetime type opportunity. I never thought I'd see that in my life, because when I was at Park Place and I knew I was going to open my own dealership, I was really tracking their numbers, and I was like, man, I don't know if this is going to make much money, because it's hard to make money on a used car. New car, you got service department, you got some holdback from the dealer, you got all kinds of there's other ways to financing. The pre-owned car with no service department, I was like, I don't know if this is going to make a lot of money. And then we got going, and then COVID happened, and I was like, we're gonna go out of business. This is the end. We're gonna have to shut it down. And then people started, hey, you guys open? We're like, yeah, come on down. Do I have to wear a mask? Nah, just come in. It's cool. And then and we had a bar in there too, full bar, TVs, and they would just sit there and they'd be like, man, what if I just trade my car on that? Because you can still drive. You can't. Right. You just can't go to a restaurant or a game or anything, but you can drive up and down the tollway. So people were, and then the values were just going up, and all these guys had these cars on order, and the dealers couldn't get cars because some boats sank, or there was a part they couldn't get because of supplies, and the next thing the dealer would just take the car from you and pay you $20,000, or the car you just bought a few months ago is up $40,000, but then they would sell it, and then they would need something to buy to replace it for the most part. Some guys were, crafty enough not to, but most of them weren't. And then they would buy something, and then it just kept going up and up. I'd never seen anything like that. I don't know if we ever will again.
I don't know. The Porsche market right now is ridiculous. And a bunch of people in the Facebook group were like scratching their heads, and we're like, okay, how can this be real?
Yeah.
And I don't want to put any sort of stigmatism on any sort of buyer, but it seems like it's like midlife crisis dudes.
My business partner was the number one Porsche guy at Porsche Dallas. I didn't know anything about him. I was Bentley and Rolls, so I like the comfort and convenience. Right. And he was like, you got to drive these Porsches. And I was like, dude, why is this one $75,000 and why is this one $400,000? They look the same. This one has a bigger wing. And then I spent some time in them, and when I would rip it up and down the toll, I was like, this is a really fun car to drive. The GT2s, the GT2 RSs, the GT3 RSs, and they're just, what's crazy about them is you never lose money on them. If you buy one, we would trade for them, and I'd look at the window sticker in the glove box. I'm like, this guy owned this car for 6 years, and we paid him exactly what he paid for it 6 years ago. That's insane. And then the GT2 RS market, I was looking. We sold a guy a GT2 RS a couple months ago, the Bimbo Bread guy. It was a green GT2 RS, and I think we sold it for like 300 and something. And I found it online yesterday. It was $780,000.
It's the pricing, it's crazy.
Yeah, I'm like, holy cow, that's like real estate. You don't get you get a little bit of lift over 10 years. You don't get a few $100,000 in a couple of years.
My '79 Camaro, just to give some, and then we'll get into your business. Sorry, I went on this whole tangent about cars.
It's all good.
So my '79 Camaro, which I ran as a drag strip car, I won a trophy. I think I was number 3 at the whole best of Chevy night kind of deal at the drag strip, right? And it was, I wouldn't say it's super fast, but it was pretty cool, and it was a lot of fun. And that same car that I think I got on a trade for a '75 Camaro, and I got the '79 Camaro, and the '75 Camaro I got for $500. Is $5,000 or $7,000, and I'm like, why is that $7,000?
Yeah,
and it'll be completely bone stock, gold. You know, like
Yeah.
who wants to ride around in a gold Camaro?
Yeah. Papa John.
And I'm just like, for 7,000, I don't know, and I bought the car for like 500 on a trade. And
Yeah, I know. It's
I
crazy.
don't know, man. I don't know. It blows my mind.
There's no way to predict.
No
it either.
rhyme or reason.
Sometimes you're like, the SLS Gullwing, everyone was like, those are kind of cool. The doors go up, and now everyone wants one.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, you just never know.
And it could be something very small, too. It could be like a wing or a rim or
Yeah, like
a door.
the GT3 Touring, do you know what that is? With the one that doesn't have the wing, which is worth all the money just because it doesn't have a wing. I don't get it, but that's the one you want.
Talk to me about your business before we keep going on cars, because we could sit here all day.
Yeah.
So what you got going on now with Design Auto, that's a little bit different than what you have with Tactical Fleet. So you can go online, you can look at cars, kind of like an auto trader back in the day.
It's a total pivot. So we started Tactical Fleet in 2018 here in Dallas, grew it to the largest pre-owned exotic car dealership in the U.S., kind of the world, bigger than Dubai at one point. We had $100 million in cars.
Wow.
We sold it to a company called Sonic Automotive, publicly traded, billion-dollar company. They own 180 car dealerships. And I stayed for an extra 4 years, and I was just kind of looking for what was next. I really had to focus on bring a trailer. I really kind of wanted to do the auction thing. And then I started looking at Auto Trader and Car Gurus and Cars.com and all these platforms you have to be on as a dealer because you never know where the person's coming from. And I was like, man, these are really good for normal cars, but they don't really help you sell Lambos and Ferraris and, the stuff that I was selling. So I was like, I'm going to go build my own. And that's kind of what I did. It's called Design Auto, designauto.com. We just launched it 2 months ago. I've got 37 dealers on there right now. They're all legit good dealers, McLaren Charlotte, McLaren Scottsdale, Chicago Motor Cars, Vegas, almost coast to coast, and it keeps growing every day. I've just been calling. What's great about it is I have my network from Tactical Fleet and doing it so long, so I'm just calling, hey, you want to be on my website? And then it's going to build into like the spot you go. If you're looking for a car 100 grand and up, this is where you go. And you can direct message a dealer. So instead of calling, and I've been cold calling these dealers, the phone thing is really bad. It goes to either no one answers it or it goes to like a receptionist.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the guy who can sell a car to you.
Right.
It's awful. Or you can send in the email and, hopefully he writes back sooner than later. You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to you can direct message a dealer. You can direct message a car salesman. You can sell your own car on here. So if you have a Camaro and you want to get a bid on it, you could go to Wholesale Chad or you could load it up in here and it would shoot it to all the dealers. Most of them would be like 79 Camaro, not my shtick, but some guy might be like, hey, I can flip that and make a couple grand. He'll send you a bid back. And then it's going to have a little AI chat filter to it. So if you're at, shopping at 11:30 at night and you're like, does this car have 2 keys? And it's the same questions I get. It's just like real estate. Same couple questions over and over. Does this car have 2 keys? AI can be like, it does have 2 keys. Can you send me the window sticker? Here's the window sticker. Would you sell it for this? No, but here's why, and we would sell it for this, and here's a credit app if you want to finance. So that's kind of where I'm going with it. All digital.
Yeah, it's really cool because I was kind of thinking about what we were talking about earlier and just kind of like building the hype and like launching and different stuff.
Yeah.
And I just kind of sympathize with you because like that's kind of what I did. I was like, I need some guests.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I would just DM until my fingers fell off.
That's the best part.
And then like somebody would reply and I'd be like, cool, like you want to be on the show?
Yeah.
And then, it just, obviously I didn't DM everybody. It was just people that I wanted to be on the show or they were on the show already. So it made it like a lot easier. Those guerrilla tactics like really, really work out.
It's the best. So when I knew I was going to open Tactical Fleet. We tried to name it something that didn't sound like a car dealership. So it wasn't Autos of Dallas or Cars Dallas. We just wanted something. If you can get tactical into the computer, it'll pull it up. So we called it Tactical Fleet. And then I was, I've seen some really cool brands over the years, like First Form, the protein. Yeah. And I was like,
Andy.
Yep. I was like, this guy made protein cool. Protein's not cool. Working out is not fun. And he made it cool. I was like, I wonder if you could make a used car dealership cool. And that's where you found me on Instagram because we used to just blast cool videos, fresh merch coming in. I wanted people to feel like they were kind of a part of the dealership. So people would be like, oh, yes, they got some fresh merch. Oh, they sold that car. Cool. Oh, Ezekiel Elliott came by, stuff like that. And we made it cool. And I think that's why Sonic bought it is because they could have done that. They could have gotten a warehouse and put some cars in it, but they thought the brand was cool and they thought Jason and I were cool. And that's kind of what made it work.
Yeah, I think it's. I watched a lot of it, and it would be like you would be putting on a clear coat for like
Yep.
rocks and stuff,
Uh-huh.
or you would be washing the car. I'd be like, I don't know,
Yeah.
like we're all humans, so I just watch
Just a kind
the
of
car getting washed, and I'd be like, oh, that's pretty cool.
little peek behind the curtain. see what's
Yeah,
going
and
on.
then
Yeah.
I'd be like, and I think that's why I like Chad a lot, and I
Yeah.
follow him because he's really just upfront about his stuff. And people don't know like Chad Cunningham. He's in the same line of business, obviously, but he's really open and honest about bidding and cars, and he shows like what's going to be up for auction and what he got, and uh, if you're in the Facebook group, like he shows trying to get somebody to haul something somewhere, and he's just funny about it. He was like,
Yeah.
oh well, this isn't going to fit in the car trailer. I wonder how much this is going to cost. It's just stupid funny.
Do you follow Moving Merch at all?
No.
Oh, you should check that out.
Yeah.
So that's Earth Motor Cars. Alex Cortez is his name. He's younger. I think he's like 22 or something. But Frank owns Earth Motor Cars. Alex is the son, and he did what I always wanted to do. I just didn't have the balls to do it. He's turned it into like a full-on show. So he's answering the phone, and it's being recorded. If you pull up, he's recording you, and
That's cool.
It's really cool. It's very entertaining.
It sounds like what was that bike show that was with the father and son? I forget off the top of my
something like
head.
that.
Yeah, and in the beginning, not when they got all like boring and doctored up.
Yep.
Cool. So if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, obviously. You know what? I wanted to talk about this too before I let you go. Any advice for entrepreneurs? I know you put on here a long game and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
Man, back to the long game. You just got to, like we were talking about, you just got to start going. Design Auto, it was kind of an idea. I was like, I think it's a listing platform for cars, $100,000 and up. 2 months later, I'm already pivoting to a sell us your car type thing. So, if you have an idea, I would say just go for it. And now's kind of the time. COVID's behind us. People are looking for stuff to buy. There's money out there if you want to grow and invest. You can find stuff right now. So, yeah, if you have an idea, just start pursuing it. And otherwise, that thing's going to eat at you for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and the thing is, you can always move off of it.
You can always move off of it. You can always go back. I could go sell cars tomorrow. You know what I mean? Tactical Fleet would probably take me back. If not, I can go somewhere else. Or I could replicate that again if I wanted to. But
yeah, because the skill never leaves.
Yeah.
It's no different for me. Like I can sell all day long.
Yeah.
Whether it be high ticket sales on the phone, whether it be in person selling cars, whether it be in person selling houses. Just if I'm excited about it, it helps, right? Like 100%. I'm not really too excited about selling houses at the moment because it's slow. But like, if you're out there and you're selling Porsches and you're like, come in, like, let's go for a ride. This thing's awesome. Like, let's roll. And people are like, oh, that's contagious. Let's go. Let's go take a look at it. Or you're like, hey, I got fresh merch. Like, check a look. Come into the shop. Like, I'll show you around.
People don't do that much anymore.
Yeah,
they really don't. It's kind of the old days where like there was excitement and there was a guy following up with you. They shoot you some e-blasts and you get like a generic text from something, and it's like no one's calling you and being like. And what my bread and butter was, if you ever get a yellow or a gold Camaro, call me. And then one day I'd get one like, you're not gonna believe this. I got a gold Camaro.
Yeah.
I have to buy that because I told you I was gonna buy that, and that was where I was always really good.
Yeah, I used to do live Facebook streams back when it was like brand new, and I'd be like, "Yo, check it out! I'm at this open house. It's 111, West Mockingbird. Come on down! Like we got snacks. Who doesn't like snacks? I would just make it so corny and dumb that people would just show up.
Yeah.
And they didn't have no interest in buying anything. They just wanted to come out and meet me and eat my snacks.
Yeah.
And I would just be like, okay, cool.
Some guy invited me to lunch last week, and a high net worth guy. And I was like, I had no idea why I was going. I was just like, yeah, sure, I'll meet you there. And I was like, oh, he likes my TikToks. So he just wants to hang out. I'm like, yeah, that's whatever. We can hang out.
Chris, if somebody was interested in getting on your platform, selling a car, or maybe just wanted to talk to you,
sure.
or just talk cars like I do to you, where would they go?
You can hit me up at CP Barta at Instagram, CP Barta on TikTok. You can DM me at _design_auto on Instagram. You can hit me up at Design Auto on TikTok. Any of those. CP Barta is me. Design Auto is me too. But yeah, I'll write back to you.
Awesome, Chris. I appreciate you coming on the show.
No problem, man. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Awesome. Yeah. Man, I could spend all day talking to you about cars.